Dereon Albert's committing a bit later today. You guys got to let me know how he fits in the scheme that he commits to. For now, we're just going to talk about him as a football player, him as an uncommitted football player, just how we think of him as an athlete. 6'2", 305, Jackson Academy in Mississippi. This being a college football recruiting channel, a high school football channel, we watch a lot of defensive tackles, and there's kind of a recurring theme with them. You'll see two groups kind of show up. There's the first group, you have the 240, 260 pound defensive tackles that just just great athletes for how good they are. Feel very good about them getting after the quarterback, but there's some questions about their strength, their size, how they hold up against the run early in their career. Then on the other side of the spectrum, you have kids that are a bit closer to 320, 340. Absolutely love them as run stuffers, as run defenders. There's just question marks about, are these kids ever going to give you anything against the pass? Are they ever going to turn into pass rushers? With Dereon Albert, you don't see a kid that he's not the biggest kid in the country, and he doesn't have the best first step in the country, but I would say for how big he is, I don't think I've seen a kid with a better first step. I don't think there's that many athletes that are as big as he is, and while also being as explosive. So what does that mean? He doesn't really fit into one of those two groups, but rather is going to give you production in both phases of the game. Very early, I think he'll be a stout run defender. Like I said, at 6'2", 300, won't be the biggest defensive tackle prospect in your class, most likely. But I absolutely love how wide this kid's shoulders are. I really think he's very strong. He's a very adept run defender already. A lot of times in zone block, when they're trying to zone block him, you'll see him also beat the offensive lineman to his mark. So you'll see that first step show up against the run. Also, like I said, very strong, very wide, really helps him against the run. And then the explosiveness, just a great pass rusher for his size already. Watching this film, when I first watched this film, the first half of this tape is just like run defense, run defense, run defense. So I'm like, okay, this kid's really strong, really like this kid against the run. And then it just gets to a point where it's just QB pressure after QB pressure after sack after sack after QB pressure. So I think he uses his first step very well as a pass rusher. And you see it show up against the run also. I'm going to let the tape run here for a little bit so I can think of more to say about it. But in the meantime, like, you guys let me know if I'm off the mark and how you feel about this kid. But I'm not saying you'll watch every defensive tackle prospect in this class and he'll have a better first step than all of them. But I'd be very surprised if you could find me a kid that's 300 pounds now and has a better first step than him, because I think it's a pretty rare blend of athleticism and physical presence that this kid brings, and I understand why he's so highly touted and why his commitment's a big one later today. If I'm a defensive coordinator, defensive line coach, I'm getting absolutely excited with this kid committing. I'm just thinking of all the stunts you can do. Like, a lot of schemes are limited by the type of players they have. But this is absolutely a kid that I'm excited about just stunting. Not an edge rusher, but every now and then a kid that I would have come off the edge in a stunt, not line up there, but certainly athletic enough to do it. So when as a football channel, like I'm trying to tell you like what you're trading off with this kid because there's obviously no such thing as a perfect prospect. So usually with these types of prospects, I would tell you, yeah, he does both pretty good, but he's just not great at either of them. I think he's pretty close to great, if not great at both, defending the run and both getting after the quarterback. But you would say that the upside's just a bit limited because, like I said, when you're recruiting those smaller athletic defensive linemen, their upside's just crazy because if they figure out the run defense stuff, they're going to be good. On the other end, 320 kids, if they can develop the pass rush, they're going to be rare air at that point. That all being said, it's very seldom do you see those absolutely get hit out of the park. So a kid like this, I think he's a bit safer, but at the same time still has as much upside as anyone in the country, I think. Besides maybe one name or two I can think of that might have a bit more upside, but in terms of kids that I think are absolutely going to contribute early in their career, I think this is one of the names for sure. But you guys let me know what you think about this kid. If I missed the mark on anything, thanks for watching.